Hi, I'm Natasha Simona, and I'm 34 years old.
What do you think people's first impression of you is?
Oh my God. Are you recording now? Are we shooting? Okay, so people's first impression always is, wow, are, are you a model? Do you act? I never present what's really going on behind the scenes because I feel like if you look like what you're going through whenever you're going through something harsh, then people will dismiss you or treat you with pity, and I never want a pity party. I was always taught, my mom was always glamorous no matter what. It was very frustrating growing up. Where we lived, where I grew up in New Rochelle, New York. I'm from Brooklyn though. We have to highlight that. I'm from Brooklyn. She never wore jeans. I think till this day, my mom maybe has 2 pairs of jeans. And she doesn't, maybe she has a pair of sneakers for the gym, but nothing casual.
Did your mom work?
Current day or growing up.
Yeah.
So growing up, she was a model. She was an international model, and she was Miss Guyana. My mother's from South America.
So what do you think would, for someone passing you by on the street, what do you think would surprise them to know about you?
So here in LA, it would surprise them to know I actually lived in my car. I lived in my car for 6 months with my 2 kids. So when I came to LA, I actually came here for a vacation, and my cousin was here at the time, and I was going through a lot. My cousin flew me and my 2 boys out here for vacation. So it was supposed to be the reset before school, just calm, relax. They were like, hey, why don't you stay? And I was like, yeah, because just the environment, the air was different, having access to the beach, that really helped with my anxiety and depression. I came here with $200. I came here with $200. Now that is not even enough for vacation, but that is all I had, and I came here with determination. You fast forward through 2017, I moved from place to place, finding friends, and finally in June of 2017, I had enough of the abuse of, and just wear and tear, and I made the executive decision to live in my car. In that moment, I could have moved back to New York, right? You can always go home. I felt like if I went home, what did all of this mean? What do I have to show for it? So I wasn't done. So I went to Vegas. I called a friend of mine who lives in Vegas. He's like, are you all right? I said, yeah, I'm going through some stuff, but I need to get away for the weekend. Because for me, I don't know how to be homeless. I grew up in a house in the suburbs. I had everything I wanted, So this is different for me. And for my kids especially. So I needed to figure out how I was going to do this. So the plan was go to Vegas, stay there for the weekend, let the kids have a good time, get some really good sleep, and come Monday morning, drive back, drop the kids to school, set up my storage like a closet, and rock this out. So I did that. And so the kids had a good time, and I didn't tell them anything. How do you tell how old were they? 7? No. My older son had just turned 8, and my little son was 5. Right? There's no real way to tell your 8 and 5-year-old that we're going to be homeless. That's very scary. And so it was scary for me, but I had the will. And we came back, and for like 2 weeks, for 1 week for my older son, 2 weeks for my little son, they had no idea that we were living in our car. No clue. Because I would always go to a friend's house far so that they felt like they fell asleep in the car. And yeah.
Wow.
So my older son woke up in the middle of the night and had to use the bathroom, and I was sleeping in the front seat, and he lost it. He's like, Mom, where are we? happened? Are we in an accident? Are we okay? I said, we're fine, we're fine. And I calmed him down. He goes, have we been living in our car? Because I noticed that I would wake up and I would see this place. And then he's like, he like went into a little panic and started shaking my 5-year-old who had a car seat at the time and was in the car seat. And I said, no, we can't tell AJ, because, you know, the last thing I wanted them to do was to go to school, be nervous, or... And so, it was, for me, I didn't want my kids to go to school and say anything or feel scared or feel nervous, or, you know, I didn't want the school to call me and take my kids away from me. Like, that was my biggest fear. Thank you. My biggest fear was them taking my kids away from me. And so I was like, okay, you know, nobody can know. I don't, you know, and I knew how to make life. But like I said, it was the school and administration finding out and then taking my kids. So nobody knew. No family, no friends, my mother, nobody. At this point, their dad had completely checked out. So I don't, till this day, present day, don't receive child support. So if he had even caught wind to that, he would have taken my kids, and he threatened to take my kids, and I'll never see them again. So you can imagine that.
And how long did you have to stay in your car?
6 months.
And what was the turning point that got you out of that situation?
One day I woke up in July, and it was hot as hell. At nighttime. It was still 96 degrees at nighttime. So I just prayed. And I said, I don't come from this. Nobody in my family comes from this. Why me? And I kept saying that. But then there's something to do with repetition. And hearing my kids laugh is amazing. It's so good. Sorry.
No, but you're fine.
They're so happy. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's things that they want, and they know I can't get it, so they make a list. But to hear them laugh, it is so pure because they're not affected. So at this point, now I understand that LA, and now I understand Skids Row. Now I am hypersensitive and more aware because I am now homeless, but I'm not, because I have a roof over my head and it's my car. Those people outside have nothing over their head. And so it gave me greater appreciation. I wasn't on drugs. Those people have some have turned to drugs. You know, some don't have access to showers. I would shower at the 24-hour gym. I had a storage unit that I would sponge bathe my kids in. I had to learn, how are my kids going to be clean? So I found a rhythm. Okay, the storage closes at this time. The elevator shut down at this time. Okay, here's what we'll do. We had a toiletry bag, and I have that toiletry bag in my closet. You know, it's like to remind myself of what I've come from out here. And, you know, I put it away so that you don't want to see that every day. But the kids know the toiletry bag. I remember the days keeping a toiletry bag in my trunk just in case somebody said, hey, why don't you sleep over? Or if I made enough money and I could stay in like a little quick motel that's like $60 or something, so I could like really like stretch out. And so when my mom wanted to come out here, my kids had a day at school called Grand Friends Day, where your grandparents and friends and so forth could come to the campus, and you know, it's right around Thanksgiving. And so she was booking her trip, and it hit her like, oh, I gotta get a hotel. So she got a hotel that had a stove and all that stuff, and we had Thanksgiving there. And I remember recording, so Thanksgiving comes in, and I cooked because I love cooking, and I wasn't able to cook, you know, and I made food for just us. And I went to the store, and I had her buy packages of containers. And she goes, oh, you're going to keep the food for you guys till last of the week? I said, we don't have a microwave. We don't have anything. No, we're going to give this food out. And she goes, you don't have a pot to piss in, but you're going to give food away. You might not consider my pot to piss in a real pot to piss in, but I don't have a fridge to keep this food cold and safe for us to eat. So instead of throwing this food away, we're going to give it away. So we're going to eat. Thanksgiving is one day and you're leaving the next day. What are we going to do with this food? And I went back to this hotel and I cut everything up. And before I served our food, I served the containers, and then we ate. So the next day, after we dropped her to the airport, we went and distributed the food. So good. That really changed my kids. And so I just made it fun. It was like camping. You know, we watched movies. We had our pizza Fridays. I set up movie night in the car. I had the blankets. One particular night, it started raining. There was a homeless guy that would sleep outside of our car on the grass. So the first time I saw him, I was like, oh boy. So I didn't sleep at all. The next morning, he woke up at like 5:30 when it starts to get a little light. And he got on his knees and he started praying. And so I said, wow. And he took his little blanket, folded it up, and then he threw it over this like bush area that was fenced off. However he was able to always retrieve that thing, I don't know. But I knew that was a safe place for him. And he would always go back and grab it and set up and everything, and that was his routine. So this particular night, in the middle of the night when it started raining, once my kids got over the excitement of rain, they looked and they go, Mom, and they started crying because this guy's outside with no shelter, and it clicked for them. We're homeless, but we have shelter. He's homeless and has no he can't hide under a tree. A huge part of me wanted to invite him in my car, you know? But I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. You gotta be smart still. There were different clicking moments for all of us. And my prayers were different. Not why me. It was like, please keep us safe. Please continue to give me these lessons of how I can help.
So what are you doing now?
So now we live in a place, but the struggle is different. Now it's a struggle to keep it. So we're still struggling. Well, not we. Kids are cool. I'm still like, but it feels good. You gotta feel good going through your struggle. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
If you don't enjoy it, you'll stay right there. And the universe will humble you until you get it. And the minute it clicks, that's when things start changing. But you can't do anything in fear.
What, I have two questions for you. One is, if there's one thing that a stranger was walking by you, mm-hmm. and they could just see written on your face, what would you want them to know?
I'm about love and peace and push.
Awesome.
That's it.
My last question.
Mm-hmm.
Can we meet your kids?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, for sure. So, this is AJ.
Hi.
Hi, AJ.
Say hello.
Hello.
You're being recorded, so put on a show.
No, we just wanted to meet you guys because your mom talks so highly of you.
Amir's hair was,
let's get
here.
Amir down.
Over here. Let's bring you right here. Amir's hair is fresh out of braid, so it looks like the perfect curl, right? Like the perfect wash and set at the moment.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Kids, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
If you could tell the world one thing about yourselves, what would you want it to be? What would you want people to know about you and everything you've gone through?
That I would want people to know about what we've gone through, that it was hard, but it wasn't impossible. That we, even though we didn't do it out of choice in order we want to do it, that we did do it. And that if we had to, we could do it again.
Oh.
I'm gonna cry. What about you?
I would tell, it's like what he said. It's not it isn't possible. It's just hard.
What do I say? What word do I say? Not hard, but
Challenging.
what's the word?
Challenging.